I never ever thought about that. It never crossed my mind. Even when I bought the land or got the gifted land, I just thought I would leave it to my grandchildren or something like that. I wasn't really thinking that I was going to move here. At 16, I got pregnant and I had my son. And so that kind of put a damper on my aspirations to go to college and things like that. The Most High brought me through it all, right? So when I was like 28, I had been living really a rough life by that time, and but when I was 28, I went to a church, and I walked in like a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I walked out free. You know, when I came here, it was like that. I finally felt grounded. You know, instead of like, oh, my history goes back to being a slave. That was the only history we had, was going back to being a slave. One of the worst things was that I had shipped over my gold that I had purchased over the years, and it was gone.
How much good was it?
Over $20,000. Okay, so you know, like when a lot of times people will quote you a cost, and so you think that's it. Because like in the States, right? If they tell you it's 100,000, you sign on the dotted line. That's it.
Yeah.
But in Ghana, it was different. So you know, it's like, no, that was just for this part. Now you got to pay for this part. Now you got to buy your doors. Now you got to buy your windows. I'm like, what? I just had a lady text me a couple of days ago, and she had just come back. She went to see her mom too for her birthday, and she was there for, I think she said, for 6 weeks. And she said, I could not wait to get out of there. She said, because it's so different. She said there was a shooting at the grocery store while I was there. There was somebody had robbed somebody at the bank or something, and somebody had been beaten on the street. And she said, in my mom's neighborhood is not a bad neighborhood, but it's going down. And she said, I just couldn't wait to leave. She said, it just like the people, was just what she said to me. The people are like zombies. They're like, their eyes, you know, they don't seem to have life anymore. Everybody's just barely hanging on. And to keep it real, white people do a lot more drugs than black people do. They just don't get in trouble. I even had a lady say one time that, what kind of grandmother are you that you would leave your grandchildren and move to another country?
What?
Yeah.
I'm here in Cape Coast at the Pan-African village, as you can see, and this is the village given to the diasporans by the chiefs here, free land basically. And I'm here to interview some couple of diasporans who relocated from the US, from the UK, and has built themselves a very nice house here for themselves on this free land. So yeah, stay tuned. Yeah, let's go.
You made it up the mountain, huh?
Yeah, I saw a little hill there.
Hello. How are you?
You do hikes?
Yes.
Yeah. This is beautiful.
Hello.
Oh, he's already recording.
Yeah, I see. Aquaba!
Hello guys, and welcome back again to another amazing episode. And this is the diaspora transition episode. As you guys already know, we have dialogue with diasporan who decided to move from the diaspora and currently living here on the continent. We are here in Ghana. I'm back from Nigeria, and I'm here in Cape Coast in a Sable village. You know, this village is given to the diasporans as a gift, you'd call it, for them to be able to relocate, make their relocation very seamless. And today I'm here with someone who have been able to acquire land here, build herself a very beautiful home, and I've moved back from the US and currently living here. So I'm about to have a dialogue with her, to have a conversation about why she decided to, do what she did, decided to leave America behind. For me, I used to think America is the promised land, and she leaving that behind and then being here in Ghana. Yeah, I think I have a lot of questions. So I'm here with Karen.
Yes.
In Ghana.
Yes, Karen in Ghana. That's my YouTube channel, but my name is Karen King.
Welcome on the show.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
I saw your story online and I'm like, it's very inspirational.
Yes.
After watching that video, I wanted to ask you several other questions.
Okay, great.
And because there's been a lot of stereotype around this area and people being able to even build a home for themselves, which you've been able to successfully do that. So people are watching you for the first time. If they might not have seen you,
yes,
briefly introduce yourself to people watching for the first time, who you are,
Okay.
your background, your upbringing, or whatnot.
All right, so my name is Karen King, like I said, and I'm originally from Washington, D.C. in the U.S. That's where I was born and raised, and I moved here from Raleigh, North Carolina, where I had worked for 30 years for Cigna Health Insurance as a human resources manager. And so I have been in Ghana since 2022, and I am loving every minute of it. I have 4 children and I have 16 grandchildren, and I am hoping that I can get them all to come to Ghana.
16 grandchildren.
Yes,
That's a lot.
it's a whole lot.
Blessed.
Yes, I really am. I really am.
You've been able to, I would like to get, into your story in the diaspora and even your upbringing there, but let's just talk about what you've been able to do here. This project.
Okay,
How did that come about?
well, I saw online that there was an effort by the by the president of Ghana to give land to the diasporans who wanted to come back. So in 2019, the year of return, they had this whole thing of forgiveness, forgive for the things that happened during the transatlantic slave trade. And one of the things they wanted to do was invite us to come back home. And by doing that, they said that they would gift us a plot of land or two, however many we wanted, based on paying an administrative fee. At that time in 2021, when I did it, it was 700 US dollars.
For a plot?
For a plot, yeah, per plot. And that was for the administrative fees for the indentures and the site plan and things like that. So that's what I did. I saw, online, it was Sister Ya, and she's now in Accra, but she was working this project along with, I think it was Nana Obakesi. And so when I saw it, I said, I'm going to do it. So sight unseen, I just sent my money and I got a plot of land.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what year did you get? 2022?
It was 2021.
2021?
Yes. Well, actually, it was 2020,
Okay.
but it took a year for me to actually get it.
Okay.
And so I came here in 2021 along with a group of other people. It was a group of Hebrew Israelites, and we all came over on a tour with God Box Tours. And when we came in 2021, I thought maybe I would get to see the land while I was here, and I did. But when I came to Ghana, when I actually just got here, I just felt like I was home.
Amazing.
And before I left, I was here for like 2 weeks. And before I left, I was already planning to build my house, and I knew I was going to come back here to live. I just knew it.
I like that. And how did, building, from the ground up, you got to read your documents, right?
Yes.
What was that process like to a point where it looks this beautiful?
Okay.
And even how big it is, how many bedrooms and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I met Michael, and he's called the Traveling Israelite on YouTube. And he was building his own home, and he said that he was in the construction business. And so I was like, well, can you build my home? And he had some prototypes for us to look at. I chose one, and before I left, we sealed that deal. And so when I got back, I sent them money, and we started the project. Now, the thing about the land here in the Pan-African Village is you take the plot that they give you. And so, unfortunately for me, in this particular area, it's waterlogged. And I didn't realize that when I bought the plot. But after we started building and things, then we realized that this was a waterlogged area. So it's been some challenges from that perspective.
How long did it take you to, raise this building?
I think it took about a year, and part of it was because of the rainy season that, got in the way for a few months. But yeah, I think it could have been done sooner had that not happened.
Wow, this is beautiful. Now, where did you grow up in the U.S.? Being able to acquire this, do you ever believe you would be able to build your own house, your own home on the continent, in the motherland someday?
I never, ever thought about that. It never crossed my mind. Even when I bought the land or got the gifted land, I just thought I would leave it to my grandchildren or something like that. I wasn't really thinking that I was going to move here. And like I said, so I just really believe it was the Most High. It was His plan for me to come, because once I got here, then I knew it was. Yes, I went back home and I told my family. They were like, "What? Are you crazy? What you doing?" But then they finally caught on, especially my children. They caught on.
I like that. Let's dive into your story in America a little bit. Do you know where your heritage is? I mean,
I knew that my mom on my mother's side that some of our ancestors went back to Charleston. I mean, not Charleston, but Orangeburg, South Carolina, and that was about it. That's all I knew. On my dad's side, everybody was from the D.C. area, and we did not do any real ancestral, research on that. So I did not know. But then I did my ancestry DNA, and it took me back, of course, to the West Coast. So mostly Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, and I believe a little bit of Togo.
Togo.
Yeah. And so that whole area, where the slave coast was. So they can't pinpoint it exactly. So I knew at that point that I was, that my ancestry went back that far.
West Africa.
Hmm.
I see. What is it like growing up in America? In your time, building a career, realizing later on that this whole thing is a trap.
Yeah.
It's a rat race that never stops.
Man, so when I, was very young, because, I'm 70 years old, so it's like I've been around a while. So when I was very young, I grew up in an area not with the trees and the forestry, but the lifestyle of like a village almost. We lived in houses, but we were all very close. No, we lived like in what they call the ghetto.
Ghetto, okay.
Or the hood, they call it now, right? So we were very poor growing up. And so we lived like in the city of D.C., Washington, D.C., but it was a area that, all, blacks were in that area. There were a few whites that lived in that area, but they owned the stores and different things like that. So I'm used to this kind of community life because everybody got, were responsible for each other. We lived in row houses. And so, you could just go up and down and you knew everybody and everybody helped each other. We would have my mom and dad would have house parties where they would, or rent parties they call it, would come together, you play cards and you buy dinners so that you could help to pay the rent. And so it was community. We hung around with a whole lot of kids in the neighborhood. The kids were all free to run around and there wasn't all that fear that's in the States now about you can't let your kid go outside because somebody might snatch them or something like that. So as I grew up in D.C., I started working for the federal government when I was 14, very young. And I had, so that was a good pathway to a career for a lot of people. If you can get into the federal government or state government, it's a pretty good, it's probably like here, right?
Yeah. You're very privileged to work for the government.
Yeah. And then for me, just at 16, I got pregnant and I had my son. And so that kind of put a damper on my aspirations to go to college and things like that. But I still had my job working for the federal government. So I was getting, having good pay, yeah. And was able to take care, of my family. And then at some point, I kind of went downhill a little bit and kind of got involved in drugs and things like that. And, my life, I have a whole lot, that went on in my life.
So past that part.
Yes, it's like, so I had little bumps in the road here and there, and it was, but the Most High brought me through it all, right? So when I was like 28, I had been living really a rough life by that time. And but when I was 28, I went to a church and I walked in like a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I walked out free. And so I was free from that from then until now, from 28 till now, it's been him.
But how did you went from working with the government 14 years to going through that block, like you said?
That I was still working for the government.
Okay,
What
was the environment like? What really kind of put you in that space mentally?
To be doing the
Right.
yeah, I got in with the wrong crowd, with the wrong people. Had some things that had happened to me when I was younger, and I think all of that just kind of fed into me just falling into that bad way. And a lot of people that in that community were all, like, getting high, drinking, all that kind of stuff. So it was just kind of normal, right? But then but you could be a functional, working drug addict or alcoholic, and so I did that for a long time, even though, I had my ups and downs with, you know, but once I turned my life around, then from there I, began to really focus in on, trying to be a better parent and being a better worker. And so things started to turn around, and then I got married, and I had my 3 daughters. So I have 3 daughters, and so that part really turned my life around, because that was just having a family. And so I did that, and then as time went on, I got better jobs, and then I ended up working for Cigna. Like I said, I was with them for 30 years, and it was very successful. I traveled all around the U.S., doing training, and I worked in employee relations. So
What's Cigna?
Cigna is a health insurance company.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the largest health insurance companies in the U.S. And I had a really good career with them. One of my best friends, actually, that was here 2 weeks ago, Denise Britt, she was the one who hired me for that position, and we're still friends to this day. She just came and visited me
Beautiful.
a couple of weeks ago. So over 30 years now, we've been friends. And so from there, but at the same time, I was starting to do ministry work, and I was starting to teach and having different ministries, and I ended up having a small church in Richmond, Virginia, and then when I moved to Raleigh, I started having more of an awakening to who we really are, that we are not who they told us that we were, but we're really the people of the book. And that, just so many things that I found out that were not true. And so that took me down a whole nother path. And so then we had started meeting together other people who were awakening at that time. It was really divine or spiritual, I would say, because so many people were waking up and just saying, you know what, this Bible is not saying what I thought it said, and was he really white? No, he wasn't, so all of those things, man. And it was just such a refreshing awakening. So that was like an identity, It's like, wow, I'm really connected, to what I believe in, And then when I came here, it was like, man, when I put my feet down, it was like I wrote a little small book, and I called it I Put My Feet on Solid Ground. When I came here, it was like that. I finally felt grounded, instead of like, my history goes back to being a slave. That was the only history we had, was going back to being a slave. And so we had no idea of what, because they didn't teach us that in school or anything. But there were a lot of people who did take it upon themselves to learn more about their history. And so once I got here and I felt that, then I started doing much more research. And, and then, like, if you watched Build with Amoa, that video I did talked about the oral tradition of the Hebrew Israelites coming from Egypt all the way here and settling here in the Cebu.
Can you speak on that a little bit?
So the oral tradition is that during the time when Moses was going to take the Israelites through the Red Sea, after they being pursued by Pharaoh, and when the Red Sea opened and most of them went through, some of them didn't, and I don't know why, if they just were too far behind or whatever. But the general who was in charge of the army for Pharaoh, when he saw that the waters closed up and all his soldiers were killed, he realized that the Most High was the Most High for real, right? And so he became a believer, and he told those other Israelites that were left that he would take them to safety. He would lead them to safety because they knew they couldn't go back to Egypt. And so over time, they ended up migrating here. His name was Asebu. I think it was Asebu, a Memphi or a Memphi Sebu. Yeah. And he ended up here, and so they made him their king. And so he became the king of this area. And so that's what this whole area was, Israelites living here, prospering, doing very, very well. And and for me to be now just sitting, living on that land, in that spot, it's just like prophetic to me. So.
I mean, you said your trigger point was when you were doing the church ministry,
Mm-hmm.
and then your eyes were open about the lies that was in the Bible,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What point would you say in Africa came into mind, like Ghana, or even before you did your DNA? Because something might have triggered you before.
Yeah, that's a really good question because I was working with a ministry in Florida, and the lady she owned a hotel. Her name was Trista Sue. She owned a hotel, and we would go down for different type of trainings and teaching. She had worked with Miles Monroe. I don't know if you've heard of him, Dr. Miles Monroe. He was a very prominent teacher of the word in the Bahamas, and he had tragically died in a helicopter crash. And so she was taking up the mantle and teaching the things that he was teaching about. And so I would go down there, and I would volunteer to help with different things. So one day I was in her office, and she had a map of the world, and she had little pinpoints on all the different places where they had traveled to. And I remember when I saw that, I was like, oh, I think that's a good idea to show, your progress. And so when I was coming back, I wanted to get a map of Africa. And I said, I'm not going to get a map of the whole world. I'm just going to get a map of Africa and do the same thing. One day, if I go to Africa, because I had gone with her to Haiti. So that was a great experience. And I was like, wow, maybe I could do something else. So I went around trying to find this map. And everywhere I went, the maps were so expensive. And I was like, well, no, I wasn't planning to really pay that much. But I was still at a church. And one day I went in one of the back rooms, and there was this map of Africa. It was this huge map like they have in school that they put up on the wall. It was already framed in metal and everything. And so I asked the pastor, I said, are you guys going to keep using these maps? Because it was that one and a couple of others. And he said, no, we're not. And I said, well, can I buy that map from you? Can I purchase it? And he said, no, you can't purchase it, but I will give it to you. So they brought it to my house, and it just sat in my hall in the foyer for a long time because I hadn't put it up. And every day when I would get up, because I worked at home. I worked at home for Cigna for 20-something years. Yeah, I was one of the first work-at-home people in the States. And I would come out of my room to go, and I would have to walk past it. And I tell you, when I would walk past it, I would feel like I would just hear, pray. Put your hand on it and pray. So this is something I haven't really talked much about, so it says it coming back to me. And I would put my hand right there on the West Coast, and I would just pray. And I would just say, I don't know if I'm praying, but I'm being obedient. I'm praying, for Africa or whatever. And I did that for a while. And then I finally had it hung up and everything. And so over time, I just knew that I was going to go to Africa one day, but never knew where or how or when or anything like that. So
Interesting. That's a very interesting
story. Yeah, thank you for bringing that back to my attention.
Yeah. Wow. And fast forward, you have a land here.
Yes.
How was it like transitioning when you moving? Because I heard a lot of stories where people shipped their items and the ports. It was very difficult taking out of the port. What was that like? That experience for you like?
That was not a good experience for me. The experience of getting it from the U.S. to Ghana was good. I had a company. It was a guy named Innocent, and he's from Ghana, but he lives in North Carolina, and he has a company. So that went smoothly. But once I got my things here, and they were delivered, I was in the States when my things were delivered, and so I had Mikiel helped me with the.
Florence.
Yeah, he went to pick it up in Timma, pick my things up, and so by the time I got back, they had moved my things in the house, and some of my things were broken, And one of the worst things was that I had shipped over my gold that I had purchased over the years, and it was gone.
What?
Yes, it was gone. I don't know who took it, how it happened. I don't know if they did it at the port. I don't know if they did it on the ship. I don't know where. But I was just so shocked, and then I really beat myself up because it was like, why did you put it? Why did you bring it with you? But it was in a safe that looked like a book, and I had put it in there, and then I had wrapped it, and then I put it in something else, and I wrapped it, and so it was like in 3 different things. So I just figured it would be safe, but it wasn't. So I don't know if maybe they have some kind of X-ray machines and they could see it. I don't know how they got it. I don't know how. But that was my first really bad experience here.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much good was it?
Over $20,000.
Over $20,000.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
I feel your pain right now.
I had saved it over the years, and man, that was something I had, collected it over the years. It was some gold and silver.
Gold and silver. What would you think what would you have done differently if you knew?
I would have carried it with me. But somebody had told me, like, if they see you bringing that kind of money, then you might, they might stop you and you get in trouble or whatever. So I was like, okay, so I'll just really ship it. Yeah. And that was hard.
Wow. That's your first bad experience.
Yeah.
Then you have any other challenge? I wouldn't say bad experience, but challenges, because obviously you've been able to build this, which is a success.
Yes.
But what were some of the challenges you had to go through? I mean, if you got the land, you paid your paperwork, $700. Gave the project to somebody else. But what was the challenges while, building this project?
I think one of the challenges for me was that I didn't know that of the additional costs. Okay, so like when a lot of times people will quote you a cost, and so you think that's it. Because like in the States, right? If they tell you it's 100,000, you sign on the dotted line. That's it.
Yeah.
But in Ghana, it was different. So it's like, no, that was just for this part. Now you got to pay for this part. Now you got to buy your doors. Now you got to buy your windows. I'm like, what? So that was an unexpected challenge for me. The other challenge was the being in the waterlogged area, and
increase the.
Well, unfortunately, they built the house low, because I don't think they realized that it was as waterlogged as it was. So that's been a challenge. I had to put put pumps in, so to pump water all the time, from the house. And then so that was a challenge, and then I had some other challenges, like with my roof. I had to end up like having my roof replaced and things like that.
I see. How many bedrooms is it?
This is 4 bedrooms. 4 bedrooms and 4.5 baths. I have an outdoor bathroom right here.
I see. I mean, people are watching. They would probably want to be able to do something similar.
Yeah.
What would you say estimated? You don't have to give the actual figures, but estimated wise cost.
I think now it's going to cost you probably around 100,000, maybe 90. And yeah, 90, 95, because things have gone up so much. But you can do it for around that price, I think. If you want to really
the building or the finishing and everything.
That would be everything.
For everything.
Yeah, I think that would be everything. The finishing, the cabinets in the kitchen. Not your cooker and your refrigerator, but just your basic stuff. Not your wardrobes and stuff in your bedrooms. But just the house itself and your kitchen. All your lights, your fans, your air conditioner, all of that would be probably included in that cost.
Now, you'd say you've been able to learn a lot throughout this building process. What if you have 3 best advice for people based on what you learned building this building place?
I think one of the first things I tell people is to come and check out the land first if they can. And make sure that it's not in a waterlogged area, or that it's what they want, and that they have a reputable person working with them. It's so important. It's so important that my business partner Emmanuel Ochim and I decided to start a real estate company so that we could provide people with the help that they need, because of all of the things that I went through and the things that we heard other people going through. We were just determined that we would try to help other people not have that same situation. So we started our own company, Africaba Construction and Management Services.
Tell me some of the projects you've been able to do. Was this one of the projects under Africaba?
No, this was just my own project. And he was, Emmanuel was my painter.
Okay.
And so that's how we got connected. He was my painter, and then we started, doing, he started doing more things to help me out, like with my roof and some other things. And so at some point he had was going to purchase land, and he came and asked me if I wanted to go into business with him. Yep. And I said, well, sure, I can get some diasporans, that might be interested in, to come. And he was like, no, I want you to be a full partner. And let's do this because, what you've gone through, we've seen it. Let's make sure that we can do a better job for them. So I prayed about it, and I was like, I thought I was coming to retire and play with the children, right? But no, the Most High had other plans. So we started that business, and so we've been 1 year. It was 1 year in May.
In May. Oh, congratulations. What kind of services do you provide? Do you help people acquire the land and
Yes.
get paperwork?
So we have the land, so people can purchase the land, and we also do the build. We build the houses for them.
That's
So
amazing.
I'm actually building my second house over there now.
Really?
So I'm building a 2-bedroom, a smaller home over there.
Really? I would like
Yeah.
to see that. That's interesting.
You got to come back, and we'll go there.
Yeah,
Yes.
I will.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of people also naysayers, and people also had challenges trying to acquire land here. What would you say to people who almost gave up on acquiring land or even trying to move in?
Yeah. I can understand, because there have been a lot of scams, okay? And even here in the Pan-African Village, it's no secret that there's some issues with this land right now that I'm sitting on. Some of the plots that, there's a family, they're in court right now with the Paramount Chief. You're going to run into issues, and sometimes you don't know. You really don't know until you might even do your land search. Sometimes you can go, you do your land search, and you see another name on there, and then okay, wait a minute, I need to figure out what's going on. So if you can do your land search, but sometimes you can do your land search and it'll be fine, and then later on somebody changes it. And so you'll find out later that it was changed. So there's no, you want to go with somebody that has done a lot of the due diligence for you, working with the land, working with someone that they trust. And that's why I really am glad that I have a local Ghanaian that is a reputable person that that is helping along with this, because he knows that side of the business. It's not like just me from the diaspora and coming here and trying to do all this, and you can end up in with a lot of issues, right? But I'm working through with him, and he knows a lot of the things. He knows a lot of the people, and so that helps out a lot. Like the people at the Lands Commission, he knows the chiefs and the queen mothers and stuff, and knows all the ins and outs of how to do it from a local perspective, right? Which is very, very different from.
What's the benefit of that partnership, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, the benefit of it is that so I'm bringing the people, so that's the good part about it. So the people that look at my YouTube channel, Karen in Ghana, or people that know me from these assemblies or churches back in the States, if they trust me, right? Because I may have a reputation with some of them. And so that's the part I bring. Then the part that he brings is he has the understanding of the Ghanaian laws, how things work with the Land Commission, how things work with the land, what we need to do. And he's also has been a project manager for building homes previously, so he knows how to build homes and at a good standard.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
And in terms of, how the US dollars is it goes a long way here in Ghana. So when you move back in the beginning, you don't really see, that you're spending a lot of money because you think, okay,
Right.
But people like that could be able to tell you that, oh, nah, you're buying that for too much money. So they kind of help you.
Right. And so here's what we do. We try to put everything up front. So what we say is our price for our land right now is $3,100, right? But that includes the land, It includes the indentures. It includes a clearing, your first clearing, because these are all the things that people don't hear that they got to do
You have to clear the
once they get the land. The clearing, then the columns that have to be put up, the demarcation. You got to have a surveyor come and demarcate the land and show you exactly where. So all of that are additional costs. And then we also have already put an electric transformer on our property, so that the people will come and they'll have electricity. Like even here in the Pan-African Village, we have some, but the people in Phase 2, they have none. And so we made that investment ourselves to put that up there, and we cleared our roads too, which is another thing that's really hard for, a lot of people when they come, that the roads are so bad. So we made those investments, and so that's why. So everybody has to put in $800 one time for the transformer, and they have to pay. They put in $100 for the farmers, because you got to pay the farmers if they have crops on the land. So we add all of that together and say this is the price, and so that way people don't have to. Like with me when I came and I got the land and I thought that was it.
Yeah.
You said it was free for, or gifted land for $700.
Yeah.
Then they was like, oh no, now you got to pay for this.
Let's address that real quick.
Yeah.
The word free.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's free.
No, it's not.
So
it's
let's
not free.
talk about that.
Yeah.
What do you think it is? What is the right word?
I think the right word is gifted. Okay, so the Paramount Chief has this land, and he's going to gift you a plot of land for an administrative fee. You have to pay the administrative fee. So the administrative fee is going to include your indenture, and I think that's pretty much it. It include the indenture and the paying the administrative person to do the work. And so that is really what it is. So I tell people when they say, yes, I want to hear about the free land. It's like, the land is not free. It's a gift to you, but you got to pay for it. You got to pay the administrative fee. And if you don't pay that, then you're not going to get it.
What about people buying it and then they have the privilege or the liberty to build it themselves?
Here they do. Yes, so they can, the way that it was supposed to work was that you purchase your land, and within 2 years you had to build on it. Even if it's a wall or a borehole, you had to do something on that land within the 2 years. And as you can see here and here, a lot of people didn't do that. They purchased paid the administrative fee, and got the gifted land, and they have not been.
What would happen after 2 years? It can be given to somebody else.
Nothing was happening, right? Nothing was happening, and so for those of us who are still here, we're saying, sell it again. Let somebody else get that gifted land, or not sell it again, but change it over to let someone else get it who's ready to build, and then move those people to Phase 2 or someplace else. But that hasn't happened yet. But I know that we're in discussions with that, because one of the things that happens if they don't clear their land, then it grows up, and then you have snakes and problems. So I pay to have it cleared, a portion of it cleared just for my own piece, and the people on this side, they do clear theirs. The lady behind me, she clears hers, but not as regular as she should. So sometimes I have to have my young guys come behind me. Yeah, to try to keep snakes and things from coming over.
But I think it's very peaceful. There's birds chirping here.
Oh yeah.
How's sleeping here like compared to the U.S.?
Oh man, I love it. So, if you live in the city, it's really busy. You're going to hear the fire trucks and police and shooting. You might even hear shooting. You can hear a whole lot of things going on in the U.S. But here it's just so nice and peaceful. And so even though, like when my friends came, that both of them named Denise. So they were saying that they're just not used to. They don't know if they could live in a place as rural as this. And I said, yeah, I get it. I understand. But it's just so peaceful. And I just love being here.
I mean, will you say it's been 2 years since you moved back here?
Yes.
Will you say your moving back has been worth it?
Oh yeah. I will never live in the U.S. again.
Really?
No. No, y'all will, and I will never live in the U.S. again. If he changes it and say I got to go back, I have to go back, but I hope not. I love it here.
Well, what is
To me,
that?
it's just, I can tell you, after I was here for that first trip, after a few days, stress was just leaving. I felt so much better. I felt so much lighter. And I didn't even realize I was under so much stress. But, when you're in the States, especially if you have sons or grandsons, you don't know if they're going to be arrested. You don't know if they're going to be shot by the police. You don't know, when they would go out, you really are concerned. Yeah, because you don't know. And if they get stopped by the police, you have to teach them, make sure you look straight, you put your hands on the steering wheel, you say yes sir, don't move suddenly, and all that you have to teach them so that they won't get shot by a police officer who will then say he was going for a gun, or I thought he was going for a gun, or I was afraid. And so I'm not saying that it's like every day, all day, but it's enough for you to, as a parent or a grandparent, to be concerned about your children when they go out, especially your black men. And even older men. It's not even just the teenagers, it's any black man. And so that was a burden on me, because I have grandsons and I have a son and I have, cousins, and also I didn't realize the amount of stress that was. And then the stress of just living there every day, with all the taxes and the all the things that you have to pay, and just all the ways that the money is siphoned from you. Even though I had a good job and I lived well, I'm not complaining. I'm really grateful. I wouldn't have been able to have this house if I didn't have that. But
What was your job salary yearly looking like?
My job?
Yeah.
My salary?
Yeah.
I was making around, with my bonus, maybe around 140,000 US a year. Yeah, sometimes more, sometimes a little less, because you get a bonus every year. And that was nice. That was nice. So I was able to, to live a good life, a comfortable life, and then help my children and my grandchildren as well. So that was always my thing, like to do something to help the next generation, where, a lot of people are very, very self-centered, and it's like, well, I earned this is mine, and I'm, me and my four and no
Very
more,
selfish.
Yeah, but no, mine was always like, I want to have something that I can leave to them, or that they can learn and they can, do the same. So
You have 17 grandchildren.
16.
16.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yes.
I mean, you started very early, 16 or 17, 16.
Yes, I got pregnant at 16 and had my son at 17, but I didn't get married until I was 28.
Oh, you got married at 28, but you had your first child at 16. Interesting. Okay.
So, no, I didn't get married, in that time. I think we were thinking we would get married, but the parents were like, no, y'all made a mistake. It's not going to happen.
Really?
Yeah. We're not going to add another mistake on top of a mistake. And then he was a football player, and so he went off to college with a scholarship and stuff like that. So
I see.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So you had your second child after you got married?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I had my second daughter, my daughter Denise, after I got married. My son was about 9. Yeah, at that time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I was able to see is you do have one of your daughters here.
Yes, my daughter Rachel is here right now. Yeah.
What did you tell her for her to be able to leave America behind? And she told me that she's thinking of moving back here.
Yes, she loves Ghana. She loves it here, and she's going to. She's planning to move here. Yeah. When I came in 2022 to move here, they came with me. My daughter Denise, my daughter Rachel, and my grandson Xavion, my grandson CJ. Those 4 came with me. And after we were here for a while, that they were here and they were getting ready to leave, they both said, I'm moving to Ghana.
Interesting.
And it wasn't me. It was just
Ghana,
they loved
the
Ghana. Yes. I mean, I just don't even know how to explain it to someone who's not from the West and they come here. It's a feeling that you guys probably already have of security and comfort.
So someone made a comparison that living in America is like living with her stepmother.
Yes.
And then coming
yes.
to Ghana, Africa is like coming to her biological mother.
Yes.
That's the feeling.
Yes, that's like you've been adopted or taken away, right? And so if you've been adopted and you don't know who your parents are, you still always have that longing, you know, wondering where your who are my real parents? You know, what's my real heritage? And so then when you come here and everybody, so many people look like my family, you know, and look like people from the States. And I was like, oh my goodness, I did not know what to expect when I came, right? Because I mean, I looked at some videos and things like that, but I was expecting, and this is just being really honest, I was expecting that everybody would be one complexion. Right, like your complexion.
Yeah, very black.
I just thought, no, not very black. Just beautiful black, beautiful black. I love it. And so that's what I expected when I came. But when I came, I saw all the different colors and, you know, and different hair and all, and I was like, wow, these are my people.
Yeah.
And then I saw so many people. I would do a double take, and I was like, oh, that looked just like my cousin, you know, or that looked like my sister. I would even take pictures and send it home and say, look at her, she looks just like you, you know. And then my dad was your complexion. And so when I came here, and I was like, oh my goodness, I know my dad was from Ghana.
Yeah.
So it was really, really a wonderful, wonderful experience.
I like that. Are you Israelites?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't mind if we go biblical a little bit?
I don't mind.
Okay. I mean, you've been a pastor at one point.
Yes, I actually had a church. I didn't call myself a pastor. I never did do that.
Really?
I would just call myself a teacher.
A teacher. Okay.
A teacher who had a church.
That's what the definition of a pastor is.
Right.
But I had an interview with a young lady. She's also Israelite, and she did mention that America's going down. There's been so much corruption within the system and treating of black people so badly that it's the punishment coming. The wraith is coming back to America now, where everything is just going down. Yeah. And so it's not safe, and she doesn't see herself going back there, and her future is on the continent here in Ghana. What is the biblical aspect of this looking like in terms of your belief, you praying about it, and the whole trajectory of where America is going and where Africa is going, and why it makes the most sense for you to move here?
Yeah, I think for people, especially those who are believers, should think about it. Only come to Ghana or any place in Africa or any place else if you feel like the Most High is leading you to do it. You know, and that's one of the things I think happens, that people will come because they have fear. And, I got to get out of there. And so then they come here and they're not prepared. They're not really mentally prepared. They're not financially prepared. And then they end up having to go back or having a really hard time. So I would always lead with, make sure that wherever you go, that it's Him leading you. It could be from one state to the other. You need to make sure He's leading you to do that. I don't think that everybody that's an Israelite or that, because we all over there, 99% of us probably are Israelite. We just don't know it. That we are the people of the book. It's just as simple as that.
You mean African Americans?
Yes, because we all came over on the in transatlantic slave ships, and more than likely they took the tribe of Judah. They took Israel over there because they knew that it wasn't as, I think some people look at it like it was just this contrived thing where let's just go grab this one, let's go grab that one. But from historical purposes, when you go back and you read these old books, you find out that they took people that they knew were skilled in architecture. They were skilled in engineering. They were skilled in farming. They took people purposely to build their country. And so that's why I'm saying a whole lot of us are, because they all came from this part of the West Coast. And I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of us are Israelite. And so they are there and they don't know that. And so a lot of them don't see it that way. They see I'm an American. Like my mom is like, I'm an American. I'm not an African.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, okay, that's...
How do you feel when you hear that? Because I've heard people say that I'm not African, and they look just black as me.
Yeah. It's like, well, where do you think your ancestors came from? You know, and like my mom, you know, my mom's going to be 90 this year, and I'm going back to for that. I will go. I'm going back for my mom.
Oh, interesting.
So for her birthday.
Amazing. So she had you when she was 20.
Yes. Yes. She had 8 children.
8 children.
Yes.
Wow. How many grandchildren does she have now?
Oh my goodness, like 30 something.
30. I can imagine. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so my mom, I mean, so people like that, they don't believe, you know, that they're African, and so you can't convince them, right? So it's only like, to me, like I said, like when the Most High opens your eyes through, you know, through the Spirit, and you start realizing, oh wow, there is more to me than just a slave, you know, history. And so for those, you know, I would just say, you know, people, do your research. You know, just do your research and go back and read your word with your eyes open. And if you feel like you should come, then come. But yes, America is going down. I mean, I just had a lady text me a couple of days ago, and she had just come back. She went to see her mom, too, for her birthday. And she was there for, I think she said, for 6 weeks. And she said, I could not wait to get out of there. She said, because it's so different. She said, there was a shooting at the grocery store while I was there. There was, somebody had robbed somebody at the bank or something, and somebody had been beaten on the street. And she said, and my mom's neighborhood is not a bad neighborhood, but it's going down. And she said, I just couldn't wait to leave. She said, it just, like, the people, this was just what she said to me. The people are like zombies. They're like, their eyes, you know, they don't seem to have life anymore. Everybody's just barely hanging on, you know, because they're under so much stress, and the unemployment is high, and the cost of food has gone up. I mean, with inflation, I mean, the cost of like eggs have gone up to like $5 for just a dozen, just for 12 eggs, $5. And it used to be, when I was home, just 2 years ago, it was like 99 cents.
Interesting. Times 5?
Yes.
In just 2 years?
Yes.
Inflation.
Yes, and so they were talking about all of those, you know, she was sharing those things. So I'll see when I go back. I know the first time I went back, I couldn't wait to get back here. Because when I was driving along, not driving along, but riding to my sister's house from off the plane, I could just feel like the pressure of it again. Yeah. You know, spiritually, it's not.
But in Ghana, how do you feel?
Free, man. Free. I tell everybody, say to me, you know, you look so young now. You look so young.
Yeah, I didn't believe when you said you're 70.
I tell them I'm aging backwards, man. I'm aging backwards here in Ghana. Yeah, it's just wonderful, you know. I looked at a picture of me with one of my granddaughters like 9 years ago, and I even showed it to my daughters. I said, look at the difference. I look so much older then than I do now.
Interesting.
It's just something. So this the food here. You know, the food in America is full of chemicals and GMO, you know, genetically modified organisms, and the waters, you know, is not pure like you could get pure water here, and you know, you don't like water. The mangoes. Like my daughter was saying, she'll never eat a mango when she go back to the States because they're not. It's real not real. It's not real. So, you know, so the food. That's why everybody over there is getting more and more obese and having all kinds of, you know, medical conditions, because the food that's allowed in the U.S. is not allowed in probably many other, even Western nations.
Because they know it's poison.
Yeah, they will not allow a lot of the stuff that they allow in the States. And so even let's put this out there, like KFC. Yeah. KFC is here, and I wasn't happy when I saw KFC because of the white man on the thing, right? And in front of the castle, you know, down in Cape Coast. So I think enough people complained and they took that down. But so if you go to KFC, the food tastes so much better here than in the States. Really? Oh my goodness! Yes, it's no comparison.
Really?
It's no comparison to
we
chicken.
Use real chicken here.
Yes. And so now I'm like, I will not eat at KFC because I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I saw a banana that was like a glue online. Yeah. Somebody was literally trying to break the banana into two, and it doesn't want to break. Yeah. Now, what kind of banana is that? Because if it's not even ripe, it's easy to break it apart.
Right.
You know.
And then they even have created mechanical bees and mechanical mosquitoes
Yeah.
to,
GMO mosquitoes.
yeah, why are you making these things and having them flying around and saying that that's good for people? I just don't understand it. It's so much about the West that I find
What do you think the agenda
wicked.
is?
What
What do you think the agenda is based on your
with the agenda?
biblical
Oh my
perspective?
goodness! I mean, if I put it really out there, I think that a lot of it has to do with they know who we are, and so either they want to try to get rid of us and or any of people, not even just the Israelites, right? They don't even care about their own people anymore. But they know that Black Americans fund the United States, even to this day. Like I just heard yesterday that I think we have like 1.3 trillion
Yeah.
dollars worth of net
Spending power.
power, but yet it all goes back to
The white
the white
communities.
communities. We don't retain any of that in our communities. We don't own a hospital. We don't own like a major supermarket. We don't own anything like that. And because we don't, all the money goes back. And so now that they see us coming, a lot of people leaving, not just for Ghana, but for Tanzania and South Africa. I mean, they're coming back. And because of that, I think they're trying to keep us in a place of sin. A place of if we eat all this stuff, we'll get sick. And, if we, and then the other thing too, and I don't know how people feel about this because in the Bible it tells us not to eat pork. Well, they put pork in everything in the States. They put pork in the candy. They put pork in every single thing. So it's like, why are you doing that? What's the purpose of it? So, I'm sure they say because it tastes good, but why do you do that? Because that's one of the things that we know that we shouldn't be having. And so it's almost like they intentionally want to keep us in a place of out of right standing with the Father.
I think you made mention you growing up whilst you were 14 years. That would probably be like 50 years ago. And there was still drag in the black community in the ghettos that long ago. And now it's even worse. Why do you think there's always drugs in the black community, and why do you think it was? How is that orchestrated? Is it that our people love to just do drugs, or there's a
No. There's even been proven what they call the COINTELPRO, where a point in time where the FBI and the CIA would come and bring drugs into the black community, drugs and weapons. And so, because again, if you bring this stuff into the community, people are going to use it. And so they intentionally did that. In certain places, especially like the cities where they had a lot of blacks, and then that just take the city down. And then from there, then they turn around and say, look at those people, look at them. They don't even, they're all on drugs, they don't care. But they made it available to us. And to keep it real, white people do a lot more drugs than black people do.
Really?
They just don't get in trouble for it.
That's true.
They don't get in trouble for
Why?
it. When they had crack, cocaine, and that's where you smoke it in a pipe. But the white people would sniff it. It was powder. It was more in a pure form. If they arrested you with crack cocaine, you got a heavy sentence. If they catch you with powder, you just get a slap on the wrist. So that was the disparity. So somebody can be, white people going around snorting their cocaine all the time. They know that if they get caught by the police, it's going to be a misdemeanor. But if you get caught with a crack pipe or smoking the rock cocaine, then it's going to be considered a felony after a certain point.
Interesting.
Yeah. So all of this stuff is history. You can read about it or watch it on YouTube. All this is reality. This is not me sitting here doing a conspiracy theory. These are real facts that have been proven and as known.
I like that. Now, someone would say, honestly, I would love to move down here, but I'm very so dependent on the system and the convenience. And how did you break free from that?
It wasn't that easy. I have to drive 30 minutes to get to the grocery store now. But that was like a small thing compared to the peace and the contentment that I felt in my heart and in my soul. So, yes, is it a change? And can everybody do it? No, everybody won't be able to do it. But I think for those who have a desire, again, that's why I say you want to pray and make sure you're doing the right thing. Come and visit. That's what I would say. Come and visit for a couple of weeks and just see if it resonates with you. Any place in Africa, not just Ghana, but if you feel led to go someplace else. But Ghana to me is close, you know, than say, you know, the East Africa, because that's a good ways over.
Yeah.
But, you know, just come and check it out.
Is Ghana the only country in Africa you've been so far?
I went to South Africa.
Oh, South Africa. Okay. Okay. So South Africa and then Ghana.
Yes.
Why didn't you choose South Africa?
Because it was too much like America.
Really?
Yes, it was white people everywhere. And I'm not, again, not knocking that if that's what you like, because some people will go there because it feels more like America. They have more conveniences, the stores are closest, just like America, the malls, everything. It was just like being in America. So I was like, well, why would I
Leave
do
America
that?
to come to
Yeah,
another America?
to be, but at least I'm on the land, right? I think that's how they feel. But South Africa to me was not where I wanted to be, and plus it got cold there too. And I'm not. I don't want that anymore. If I come here, I don't want to get cold again.
You want to be in Africa.
Yeah, and they also have what they called load shedding. So every day your electricity goes off. Every day.
In South Africa?
Yes, all over.
Interesting.
And it's so organized that you can. They have an app where you can look at the app to see what time you're going to lose your electricity. And so it happens every day. So in Ghana, the difference is we don't know when it's going to happen, and it's not every day.
No,
Right, but in South Africa it was every day. So we stayed in a hotel that did not have a generator, and so it happened at the middle of the night, like 2 in the morning, and it would be so cold because we went when it was cold. And that was like, no. I had my clothes on. I had 3-4 blankets, just trying to stay warm for those hours.
Wow.
So that part, I was like, no.
Yeah. Now, I mean, obviously you've been here. I've seen your daughter. Few of your family members have been, came visit. But what is the mass of your family saying? What are they saying? Are they convinced to move with you?
No.
Did you even have pushbacks, and what did they even say when you told them that I'm moving down here?
You know, most of my my family would not come. You know, they're content to be in America. You know, they've been my 2 brothers have been successful, and they are content to be in America. And but they're happy for me. They're happy for me. I think. To my face, they're happy for me. I mean, I don't know if they're saying behind my back, she done lost her mind or whatever. But I think I've always, my mom has said this about me. She said, you've always been the adventurous one. You've always done, tried different things. And so she first was surprised, but then she quickly kind of settled down. And she reminded me of something. She said, when you were going to the Catholic school, I remember you saying that you were going to go to Africa. And I was like, maybe 11 years old, but I had wrote an essay, and it was, if God called me to serve him, I would. That was the title. I remember it clearly, and I had to write the essay, and I won first place or something with this essay, and I said I would go to Africa. But what I said was I would go to Africa and be a nun, you know, those nuns, and and serve him that way, because I was Catholic at the time. But that nun part, that went out the window. Now with all these kids and then getting pregnant at 16, that nun thing was gone. Yeah. But so she reminded me of that you did say that you were going to go to Africa, and now look at you, here you are. You
built a very beautiful home for yourself.
Yeah, yes, I'm loving it.
And your daughter is just right here. Welcome. I would like her to, come into it. And
okay, sure.
Have a brief conversation. Rachel.
Yeah.
So, what did your mom tell you that convinced you to join her here in Ghana?
Well, at first, I was ready to move sight unseen. She said that she was moving, so I'm like, okay, well, then I'm going with you. And then we came to visit, and that's all I needed was to be here.
Interesting. What was the first time you visited?
When we moved her here, April 2022.
Interesting. What did you really see what did you experience that made you felt like this is a place where I can, consider even visiting or moving here potentially one day?
When we landed, it was like a weight off of your shoulders. Everyone claps on the plane when you land, and it just feels natural to be here. Like I always knew that I didn't belong in the States. I happened to be born there, happened to have to live there, but I knew that's not
Really?
where I'm from. So once I got here, I was just like, oh yes, yes, I'm home, I'm home. It just feels like I'm supposed to be here.
Interesting. What did you have when at one point in your life you felt like you were thinking about Africa a lot? Was your mom the trigger point for you, or you had your own awakening separately, parallel to what your mom had at that point?
Well, growing up, I've always wanted to be the one that had an accent, and not my country Southern accent that will probably come out as I speak. But I always wanted to be the one that had an accent and be ethnic and like different foods. And then as we started awakening more to our Hebrew heritage and culture, that really like solidified, that I have to get somewhere that's not in the States.
Now you're very young. I'm very happy seeing young people move back. And most of the time, it's just
I'm so young.
You're very young too. Don't get me wrong, but it's mostly I had someone comment down saying that why not young people moving to Ghana, and it's mostly people on retirement. So seeing you're very young. I mean, I saw you work on your laptop. You're still working remotely here. I think that's very beautiful. I would like to have a separate interview with you where I can dive into your story. You're also an entrepreneur.
Yes.
That would really.
Absolutely.
I would love to dive into your story separately. If you do have any
then
message.
I have to change my dress and put on my earrings.
Yeah. So, if you have a message to even your colleagues, people who are the same age, and telling them what you've witnessed, that is separate. It's a different feeling to you that you never anticipated. What would that be?
So for people my age, I'm 40. So people I would say 35 and up, they may have an easier time just because they've been able to do so many things that they wanted to do in the States and understand all that we're paying and how it works there to be able to come here. So I think it would be easier for them. I do have a 19-year-old son, and he's already lived here. And so right now he's back in the States working a little bit, but then he will be back here at the end of the year, and this is where he wants to be. So for people in his age range, I would say come and experience it. Anybody. You need to come and experience it. You need to be able to feel this wonderful breeze and see all the greenery and just take a deep breath because the air is clean, be able to go and have fresh food and just see, like I heard mommy saying, see people who look like you.
Yeah.
Could be cousins and aunties, and you just have to experience it because, we met people when we first got here 2 years ago that said they were coming just for a couple weeks and they never left. They had people at home take care of all their stuff. They packed it up, shipped it, sold their home from here, and they never left. So I understand.
Now you understand that?
Yes.
Has it always been like this, or she was a little bit holding back in the beginning of the journey when you're moving down?
No, she was right there with me. Right there from day one when I said I was going, and she was right. She was like, I'm coming too.
Yeah, or I'll be going back and forth. And in the 2 years, I've been able to go back and forth. So now I will stay here and go back and forth to the States when I have my shows that I do.
I like that. We'll talk about your shows a little bit later.
And she was cooking African food for years.
While in America?
Yeah, she would just find the African market and she was cooking.
Why would you?
Because I didn't know at the time what country of origins that we came from, but I knew, like I said, I wasn't supposed to be there. I know I'm African somewhere, somehow, somewhere.
I see your earring.
And so I decided to make sure that I could experience it even if I wasn't here. But no, my earrings, they're in the shape of Africa, and they say queen. I'm an African queen. And I have that on my arm. I have queen on my arm just in case I'm walking around and people forget.
I like that. Wow. Let me ask you, Mom. Seeing your daughter sitting next to you here in Ghana, it was first a dream. You were literally touching the map and praying to move to Africa one day. And then you have this beautiful home, and your daughter is sitting next to you, and thinking of moving to Ghana to come live here. How does it make you feel?
Really happy. I mean, just elated. Right? What words can you use? You know, excited, motivated. So my prayer was that, please let my family come. You know, and once they came, like I said, her and Denise and my 2 grandsons came with me in 2022. Once they came, then it was on. I mean, I knew that they were going to come back. They've just been planning their life around that. And so it's exciting. Like when she came to spend this time with me, it was great. You know, and for her to be able to work, she wanted to see if it was going to work out, that she could, work remotely, and everything worked out fine. And it's just, so I know she'll be back, and I'm just really, really happy about that.
You're going to find him an African kid. I'm just joking.
How we're working on it.
Yeah, she would love to have that.
African kid. Because you're a queen, right?
Absolutely.
You need a kid. This has been a great conversation. I would love to sit down and have a separate interview with you.
Thank you.
And so one other thing I wanted to share about once I move to, because I'm building my home, my smaller home, I'm going to move to the Hebrews Heritage Community in Africaba. So then this home will become an Airbnb.
I see.
Yeah. And or a rental if someone wants to rent the whole
be like
thing
a soft landing for people who want to.
Yes, exactly. Especially those who are interested in the Pan-African Village. It's right here. They could experience it. And I already sometimes let people stay in the 2 extra rooms that I have.
I saw the guest room. I had to use it. It's very comfy. The AC is very chilled, actually.
So that's what my plan is, and then this will create, some passive income for me, while I'm here. And so we always have to think about ways to create some additional income.
Because it's very important, because I wanted to ask you, how do you sustain yourself? What would you advise people to do if they want to move back? Is there any kind of infrastructure they have to put in place to make sure there's cash flow from the U.S.?
So
if you want to elaborate
So for me, we have our retirement. So that's what I use, my Social Security, and then I get a small pension. And also I had saved up money, right? So a lot of that I used to build my house. So that money that I get from my retirement is enough to sustain me on a monthly basis. So I would say to people, make sure you have that, right? Your house is going to be paid for. You're going to have a borehole, for your water, so you don't have the water bill. If you get solar, you won't have a light bill. So think about all those things, and then just make sure that the money that you get, that you have coming in, will be able to sustain you. If you're not in retirement age and don't have that, then you need to think about what are you going to do. And I would say try to think entrepreneurially, right? And maybe open up a store, or maybe try to get with some other people and do some real estate, or, but you got to have a plan. Don't just pick up and come. And, and I've had to talk to people, and they were just like, I'm just so ready to get out of the U.S. I'm tired of it. And I would say, yeah, but do you have a plan? You got to have money to live anywhere. Right? So, you might have a few $1,000s saved up, but that's not going to be enough to sustain you. So come with a plan. Yeah, you really have to come with a plan.
I like that. This has been a very great conversation with you. It's very calm. I have to go according to your pace, the energy-wise, but it's very calm. You've shared a lot. I really appreciate. If you do have a final message to people watching, it could be advice, it could be whatever. What would that message be?
I think I just want people to be sincere, and to look at their life and not try to impose other people's lives on them, right? So find out what your purpose is, what your plan is, and go with that. And not be quick to judge others if they're doing something that you don't agree with. Like, there are people who are going to come here, and then there are people who are here, and then you have people who've never been here judging those of us who made the leap. I even had a lady say one time that what kind of grandmother are you that you would leave your grandchildren and move to another country?
What? Why would you say that?
But she put it in the comments. Yeah, in one of my videos. Yeah,
Keyboard warriors.
yeah, and I'm just like, wow, like you don't know my life, you don't know my experience, and yet, so I would say, don't be so quick to judge other people, and jump on a bandwagon for negativity. So that's what's happening right now. A lot of the YouTubers are getting subscribers and things by putting out this negative stuff about Ghana. And if they're honest, it happens everywhere, and it's even worse sometimes in other countries or in the U.S. So I would say, try to have a balanced approach. But if you at all feel led to come, because there's nothing like living here in Ghana. Especially if you're being called by the Most High to come, then just come.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you have a final message for people?
I agree. Just even if you're not sure if you want to move, just take 10 plus days to be here. I've been here. I would come 2 weeks at a time. I've been here it'll be almost 5 weeks when I leave. So make sure you give yourself enough time to fully experience the hustle and bustle of Accra, the villages like in Cebu, and just go different places while you're here, get different experiences, and see what fits best for you.
I like that, and I still can't get over this. In your family, you guys age backwards.
Yes, yes.
No way.
We are the babies at 40.
Yes, and she actually has a twin sister.
Yes,
that looks exactly like her. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Identical twin.
Yes.
And you have a 19-year-old child.
Yes, 19 and 13, 2 boys.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Raised 2 stepdaughters. They are about to be 24 and 26, and by the oldest, I have a almost 4-year-old grandson.
Interesting. You have a grandson?
Yes.
Jesus Christ. Wow, that's beautiful. Guys, thank you so much for talking to me. It's been a very great conversation, sharing your story to the people.
This has been really nice and refreshing. Thank you so much.
Really? I'm
and
glad.
a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come. The birds are chirping. This is Africa, Africaba.
Yeah.
All right. So, guys, if it's your first time here, please don't forget to like the video, share to friends and family, comment down below what you love about this particular episode. Her information is in the description. How do people find you, to be honest?
Karen in Ghana.
Karen in Ghana. They do have a YouTube channel.
Yes,
right?
on YouTube. If they go to Karen in Ghana, my information is there.
Okay.
How they can contact me.
Okay, so...
Yes, and Instagram.
And
yes,
Instagram.
Recently.
Karen in Ghana on Instagram and also on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it in the description as well as on the screen. Reach out to her. Sometimes they can just call you, seek some consultation because it's a lot. You might have experienced some things that you'd probably advise them so they don't have to.
Yes, exactly.
So,
and I do always, if people are interested in land, they have to do a consultation first. So we can talk about it, get all their questions answered.
I like that.
And I encourage them to not just jump and take that leap and send their money to somebody. And sometimes you can't stop.
Be very sticky.
Yes,
I've seen so many people lose their money.
Yes, me too.
And get discouraged and then move back to the state. Right. Back to, you know what I'm saying, like the chaos because they give up on that. So reach out to her, have a conversation with her, and see if you are ready to come to Ghana. She'll let you know. How do people find you?
They can find me by Model Mentor by Rachel Loren, and on YouTube it's Model Mentor on Location.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to me. All right. So without further ado, let's just say bye-bye to the people watching. All right.
All right.
Peace.
Goodbye.